So over the weekend, there was a large progressive conference called Netroots Nation 2019, and it's sponsored by the Daily Kos. And they had a presidential forum, and four candidates showed up. It was Elizabeth Warren, Jay Inslee, Kirsten Gillibrand, and Julian Castro, who came. And Netroots Nation is sponsored by Daily Kos. So it's no secret that Marcos, the owner of Daily Kos, he loathes Bernie Sanders, and he's completely biased against him. So Bernie didn't go to Netroots Nation, and he got a lot of flack for it. In fact, Marcos even went on TV to basically complain and whine about why, Bernie Sanders wasn't coming, and that it was a missed opportunity, big mistake, and that, he would be fair, which everybody knows is like, no, you're not. You're not going to be fair to Bernie Sanders. So anyway, so they have this conference, but then Bernie gets criticized, which he's always criticized for something, right? So Bernie didn't go, but he had a lot of his surrogates go. Like Nina Turner was there. His economic policy advisor Stephanie Kelton was there. Like Bernie 2020 had a lot of representation at Netroots Nation. But Bernie got criticized because today, Monday, the day after the conference is done, Bernie is held a rally at Hahnemann Hospital in Philadelphia. It's literally like down the street from where the conference was. So, the critics were like, well, wait a minute, so he couldn't come to the conference, and yet he's holding a rally in Philadelphia for this hospital. So, which is it is ridiculous, because when you hear the reason why this hospital is closing, it really makes you question, what does it really mean to be progressive? And really, what does it mean to be a leader? Okay? So here's the backstory. Hahnemann University Hospital is basically being shut down because its new owner is a private equity firm. And they're basically shutting it down to flip it and sell the land that it sits on to wealthy real estate developers so they can make millions of dollars. Okay, so that's in essence what's happening. Now, some facts about this hospital. I mean, when you just hear the details, it's heartbreaking and infuriating, and really a lot of what Bernie Sanders represents and what he will do as president. Like Bernie is acting like POTUS right now. Okay, so here's some facts about Hahnemann University Hospital. So first of all, the hospital is 171 years old. It's one of the oldest hospitals in the United States. It's also a university medical school. So they train, and educate doctors and nurses and other medical professionals. So it is a training, educational medical school as well as a hospital. Nearly half of the residents that go to Hahnemann Hospital are on Medicaid, and two-thirds of the patients there are Black or Latino. So it's like a huge number of low income to poor and people of color who go to that hospital. On top of that, there are 2,500 union workers who work in that hospital, and it's also a level 1 trauma hospital, which is really, really a big important thing. And their ER, they see 40,000 patients a year in their ER, which is a lot. So this hospital is crucial. Okay, it's been around a long time, and it is crucial to the survival of thousands of people in Philadelphia, but mainly low income and people of color. So Bernie Sanders comes into town, and he's using all the power and might that he has to save this hospital from being shut down. I mean, he's working with the city and the state, because now they're coming in oh wait a minute, this is a crucial hospital. This private equity firm can't just come in and sell it to make millions of dollars to real estate developers. I mean, the city's already stressed enough it is with the hospitals they have. To shut down a major hospital like that is a huge deal. So, so here's Bernie Sanders holding a rally and calling attention to this. And also, in his rally today, he also mentioned that he's going to introduce emergency legislation to create a $20 billion fund so that cities and states could buy hospitals, so that they don't get bought out by private equity firms. Now, how private equity firms can even own hospitals in the first place is just mind-boggling. So that's another piece of legislation Bernie's going to look into, is like, wait a minute, we can't let private equity firms do this. This would set a horrible precedent, where equity firms come in and buy hospitals that are financially not doing well, mainly because they're serving low income and people of color, so they can flip it to make money. Like the level of soulless greed you have to be that kind of people to make a buck that way is it really is mind-boggling. But again, here's Bernie Sanders showing up. Now, what is even more mind-boggling to me? So Netroots Nation has this presidential forum, and again, Warren, Inslee, Castro, and Gillibrand were there, and not one of them did anything. They didn't say anything. They didn't go to the hospital. They didn't tell their supporters, like, hey, let's stop this. Nothing. Not a word. Okay? And this is not news. So the owners announced that they were shutting down the hospital in June. On Thursday, before the conference, Nina Turner and Bernie 2020 held another rally there at Hahnemann Hospital to stop the shutdown and bring attention. And then they brought in Bernie Sanders on Monday himself, and he brought national media with him to bring attention to this. And yet we had 4 presidential candidates who were literally down the street and didn't go and did nothing. And especially what I'm like honestly speechless about is that Elizabeth Warren didn't even say anything, didn't go, because this whole story is about corporate greed. That's supposed to be her signature thing, like corporate greed. So why didn't she show up? But also, like, in her health policy, she talks a lot about how the mortality rate for women of color, particularly black women, is 3 to 4 times higher than white women. And Hahnemann shut down their maternity ward already. So a hospital that serves 2/3 of its patients are black and Latino, they shut down the maternity ward so women can't give birth there. So, and then they don't have the care. So, I mean, she should have been all over this, okay? And again, this news has been around for a while, and so why she didn't show up is really mind-boggling. And then on Saturday, the term President Elizabeth Warren was trending on Twitter because she had been talking about the disaster that is President Donald Trump is doing all these bad things, but me, President Elizabeth Warren, would be doing something different. So, well, okay, President Warren, then why didn't you show up to this hospital? Why didn't you do anything for this hospital for low income and people of color? Where were you? Where were you? Okay? Being a progressive is not about having great plans. Being a progressive is about where and when you show up and for whom. Okay? And consistently, over and over again, Bernie Sanders has been there for the people. He's been there. He literally shows up. Yet again, and no other candidate is there except for Bernie Sanders. So instead of him getting criticized for not going to yet another cattle call conference, I mean, he's fighting to prevent a hospital from not being shut down. He should be praised for that. And you know what? We are blessed. We would be blessed to have a President Bernie Sanders. I mean, after watching the rally, I was just shaking my head. I actually started crying, thinking, thank God for Bernie. He literally is the only one that cares. I mean, where are the other candidates? None of them were there except for Bernie Sanders, again, who literally physically shows up for the people. it is a no-brainer that he should be president of the United States, because he is the only one that truly gives a damn about all of us. And he shows that by literally showing up for us.